Mr. Estes, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for our witnesses for joining us today. Shutdowns, regulations, and service industry downturns have impacted the financial stability of restaurants across the country, including those in my district in Kansas. And one example in my district is an event venue outside of Wichita that has faced unique hardships during this pandemic. Wichita Union Stockyards opened in December of 2019. The owners, Mike and Tina, farmed their entire lives to save enough money to open an exceptional country western venue for our region. The impact of the pandemic on them was uniquely terrible because they were so new. The CARES Act funding that we passed did not address their specific situation. I worked tirelessly to try to find ways to assist them through these difficult times. And Kansas restaurants in general are facing challenges as well. For the month of August, 86% of Kansas restaurants said their total dollar sales volumes were lower than a year ago, with sales down an average of 28%. Even more discouraging is that 78% say the conditions were worse in August than in July. Restaurants and event venues, such as the Wichita Union Stockyards, are facing unique challenges, which is why we need to work to bring targeted relief to restaurant employees and owners. Unfortunately, my Democrat colleagues would like to burden restaurants by doubling the minimum wages and imposing even more regulations. Time and again, we've heard from the Congressional Budget Office that increasing the minimum wage has a direct and damaging effect on employment in the United States. While restaurant owners are already struggling to navigate oppressive and ever-changing state and local regulations, we cannot pile federal regulations that are one-size-based mandates on small business owners. Instead, I urge my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to pursue bipartisan solutions to keep Americans employed and keep our small and local restaurants open. In August, I co-sponsored H.R. 7481, the Restart Act. This bipartisan legislation would provide long-term loans to restaurants, independent music venues, and other small businesses that operate within the service industry. I even had the opportunity to tour Wave, an independent music venue, to see the challenges they're facing firsthand and how the Restart Act would help them stay in business. This bill is similar to the Paycheck Protection Program, which has proven to be very effective in keeping employees connected with small businesses around the country. It meets the unique needs of restaurants, allowing them to use this loan for payroll, rent, utilities, PPE, and sanitation. With real bipartisan solutions like the Restart Act on the table, it's unreasonable to rush to institute a minimum wage hike and take away tax benefits that will ultimately hurt employees, their families, businesses, and communities. We should be looking at solutions that will keep workers employed and not forcing employers to cut staffing even further. I look forward to working with my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to pass legislation that will help American workers, aid local businesses, and rebuild our economy. And with that, let me turn to Mr. Rodrigo. We've heard from other witnesses that minimum wages for restaurant workers is $2 to $4. What's the actual average wage for restaurant workers? And can you walk us through the tip credit and how it makes up the difference between tipped minimum wage and standard minimum wage?
Yes, Congressman. Thank you for the opportunity to clarify that. I think that there is some confusion because there's no one that makes $2.13 an hour. In the event that someone does not receive gratuity, the employer is actually required to make up the difference. So there's no one that makes $2.13 an hour. Anecdotally, I'll tell you that it's an opportunity. And I have a young African-American lady that has been working with me for nearly 18 years. She began when she's 18. She's in her mid-30s now. And at $2.13 an hour, plus her gratuities, her total compensation last year was $103,000. The tipped employees in my restaurant last year averaged well above $40,000 a year in total compensation, and it's a system that they want, and I would say that that's not the exception. That is the normal. This employee began with me as a dishwasher, then she began making salads, then she became a busser, then she became a bartender. For the last 5 or 6 years, she's been a server, and at $2.13 an hour, plus her gratuities, her total compensation again was over $100,000. This is not the exception. This is the norm. In addition to that, I would just like, as a moment of personal privilege, to let you know it is maybe the most moving thing about my job. I can tell you that there are dozens of people that meet that
Thank you, and I yield back.
Gentleman's time has expired.